Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, June 29th, and you're watching live coverage of the Progress 78 resupply mission to the International Space Station. I'm NASA's Leah Cheshire, live in Mission Control Houston at NASA's Johnson Space Center. Flight controllers here are monitoring all systems aboard the station and have given a green light for today's launch. Controlling the Progress vehicle and monitoring its data are engineers at the Russian Mission Control Center in the town of Koryov on the outskirts of Moscow. And this is a live view of Site 31 at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan, where a Soyuz 2.1A booster rocket stands fully fueled, ready to launch an unpiloted Russian resupply cargo spacecraft on a 2-day, 33-orbit journey to the International Space Station. Upon launch today, just about 26 minutes from now at 7:27 and 20 seconds p.m. Eastern Time, or 4:27 a.m. Baikonur time, Progress will begin its just over 2-day journey to the International Space Station, arriving in the evening of July 1st for an automated docking at 9:02 p.m. Eastern Time. As we mentioned, it is 4 o'clock in the morning in Baikonur at the moment, and we're looking at clear skies as well as temperatures around 80 degrees Fahrenheit, approximately the same as we are experiencing here in Houston, Texas. Once the Progress 78 spacecraft arrives at the International Space Station at 9:03 p.m. Eastern Time on July 1st, it will be arriving to a crew of 3 NASA astronauts, 1 Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency astronaut, or JAXA, 2 Roscosmos cosmonauts, and 1 ESA, or European Space Agency astronaut. That is Shane Kimbrough, Megan MacArthur, and Mark Vande Hei of NASA, Aki Hoshide of JAXA, Pyotr Dubrov and Oleg Novitsky of Roscosmos, and Thomas Pesquet of ESA. This crew of 7 should be asleep at the time of launch tonight, having completed a busy day following 2 recent spacewalks, as well as transferring cargo to and from the SpaceX CRS-22 Cargo Dragon. At the time of launch tonight, the space station will be flying 257 statute miles over the South Atlantic east of Argentina. Rollout of the Progress 78 rocket occurred Sunday, June 27th, from its integration hangar at the Baikonur Cosmodrome, less than half a mile to the launch pad where it stands today. Engineers have since connected the necessary fuel and power lines to prepare the rocket for liftoff, again coming tonight at 7:27 and 20 seconds p.m. Eastern Time. The Soyuz booster we see launching today is 3 stages, the first stage being with liquid fuel engines and strap-on boosters. Taking a look ahead at the stages we will see taking place following launch, about 2 minutes after launch, we will see first stage shutdown and separation, those strap-on solid rocket boosters falling away. Approximately 3 minutes after launch, the launch shroud will be jettisoned. 4 minutes and 37 seconds after launch, we'll be looking for second stage shutdown and separation and third stage ignition. And at 8 minutes and 46 seconds after launch, we will see third stage shutdown with spacecraft separation and orbital insertion into the preliminary orbit for the Progress 78 spacecraft. The spacecraft standing on the pad today is carrying over 3,600 pounds of cargo for the station's residents. To break that down, that's 882 pounds of propellant, 89 pounds of nitrogen, 926 pounds of water, and 1,734 pounds of dry goods, including supplies and spare parts for the station. It's been a busy time aboard the International Space Station. We have just seen the completion of 3 spacewalks to install new solar arrays taking place on June 16th, 20th, and 25th. Those are the new IROSA or ISS rollout solar arrays being installed on the International Space Station to augment the station's power supply. It's also a busy day for space traffic as Northrop Grumman's 15th commercial resupply mission departed today, June 29th, with waste to burn up upon re-entry into Earth's atmosphere following its own delivery of cargo to the station, including food, supplies, hardware, research experiments, and more this past February. With that departure today, there are now 4 visiting vehicles that Progress 78 will be joining at the orbiting laboratory. Those are the Progress 77 spacecraft, Crew Dragon, which delivered the Crew 2 crew, SpaceX Dragon CRS-22, and Soyuz MS-18, which delivered Mark Vande Hei, Pyotr Dubrov, and Oleg Novitsky. Other spaceflight activities coming up include the departure of SpaceX CRS-22, returning science hardware to Earth after being on station for about a month. This is also the vehicle that delivered those IROSA or ISS rollout solar arrays in the trunk of the vehicle that is scheduled to depart in just about a week. Additionally, later this summer, Progress 77 will extract the Piers docking compartment to clear the nadir port and make way for the Nauka module to launch on a Proton rocket in July. Undocking of Progress 77 won't happen until at least 2 days after Nauka launches to give flight controllers time to check out all of its systems. The multipurpose laboratory module, or Nauka, known as MLM, has an 8-day rendezvous to the port that will be vacated by Piers. The spacecraft you see that is launching today, Progress 78, is scheduled to perform an automated undocking and relocation to the new Nauka multipurpose laboratory module this fall. Shortly before tonight's broadcast began, at about 40 minutes before launch, the gantry arms surrounding the spacecraft on the launch pad were lowered. There are 2 service umbilicals still attached to the side of the Soyuz booster, and the first of those will retract around the T-35 second mark. The second umbilical will retract at the T-12 second mark, initiating the engine start sequence and resulting in the turbopumps coming up to flight speed and the hold-down arms being retracted to allow for liftoff and the beginning of Progress' journey to the station. And as sunrise begins to break over the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan, the Soyuz booster is now on autonomous power. Everything progressing smoothly toward an on-time launch today at 7:27 and 20 seconds p.m. Eastern Time. Launch through spacecraft separation is controlled at the blockhouse in Baikonur. At the time of separation, flight control will be transferred to the team at the Russian Mission Control Center outside of Moscow in the town of Koryov. Here you've got a view inside that control room, getting a look at the engineers and teams monitoring tonight's launch. Once Progress 78 arrives at the International Space Station on July 1st, it will autonomously dock to the International Space Station's Poisk module. This is a little bit different than some of the arrivals that we see with other spacecraft, where they are captured by the Canadarm2 and then berthed by teams on the ground to the International Space Station. However, as we mentioned, this vehicle is completely autonomous, and that docking should be completed without any input from teams on the ground. Coming up on about 15 minutes until tonight's launch, a look ahead at some of the milestones we can expect to see in the final minutes of the countdown. At T-minus 7 minutes, the physical launch key will be inserted at the launch bunker by the launch conductor to transition the launch sequence into automatic mode. And at T-minus 5 minutes and 30 seconds, the launch conductor in Baikonur will report if the range is clear and the Soyuz rocket is ready to begin its 2-day journey. At T-minus 4 minutes, onboard systems will switch to autonomous control, followed by booster tanks being pressurized for flight, optimizing the flow of fuel. Inside 3 minutes and 30 seconds till launch, key to the drainage position at the launch site is turned into the proper position. Inside the 3-minute mark, fuel and oxidizer tanks on the first stage will be pressurized to optimize fuel flow. And at 1 minute and 30 seconds before liftoff, ground propellant feed to the first stage of the Soyuz booster will be terminated. The Soyuz booster itself will go on internal power at 1 minute prior to launch. And as we mentioned, the retraction of those umbilicals will come at T-minus 35 seconds and the second at T-minus 12 seconds before liftoff. Retraction of that second umbilical will initiate the engine start sequencing, and the launch command will be issued. We are looking for liftoff tonight at 7:27 and 20 seconds p.m. Eastern Time. As we mentioned, this rocket is on the launch pad at Site 31. This is where all Soyuz launches currently take place until refurbishment are complete at Launch Site 1, also called Gagarin Start. And this is the launch pad from which Yuri Gagarin lifted off to become the first human in space. That 60-year anniversary just having occurred on April 12th. After launch tonight and spacecraft separation, we will wait until commands are sent to unfurl solar arrays and prepare the navigation antennas and external television camera prior to signing off ahead of Progress 33 orbit rendezvous to the International Space Station. As we mentioned, launch itself will be controlled at the blockhouse in Baikonur, as well as Progress 78's ascent until spacecraft separation. At the time of separation, the flight control will be transferred to the team at the Russian Mission Control Center outside of Moscow. Coming up now, on just about 10 minutes until launch tonight, we can take a look ahead at some of the launch milestones we'll see after liftoff. Following liftoff at 7:27 and 20 seconds p.m. Eastern Time, we will see the first stage shutdown and separation come about 2 minutes after launch, those solid rocket boosters falling away. In about 3 minutes after launch, the launch shroud itself will be jettisoned. 4 minutes and 37 seconds after launch, we'll see second stage shutdown and separation ahead of third stage ignition, which will carry the rocket until about 8 minutes and 46 seconds after launch, the time of third stage shutdown, spacecraft separation, and orbital insertion. Pre-programmed engine firings will raise Progress altitude to match that of the station, and then fine-tune its path with docking scheduled for Thursday evening, July 1st. Now coming up on about 8.5 minutes until liftoff of Progress 78 tonight. That next milestone we're looking for is at T-minus 7 minutes when the launch key, the physical launch key, is inserted at the launch bunker to transition the launch sequence into automatic mode. If you look closely, you can see the strap-on solid rocket boosters are on the first stage are venting liquid oxygen. Those are fully fueled. The vehicle is ready to go. Things are looking good for Progress 78 and an on-time liftoff tonight. 6 minutes and 30 seconds until liftoff tonight. We are 1 minute away from the launch conductor in Baikonur reporting if the range is clear and if the Soyuz rocket, along with Progress 78, are ready to begin their 2-day journey to the International Space Station. And we have confirmation that the launch key has been inserted at the launch bunker. This transitions the rocket into and the launch sequence into automatic mode. Now 5 minutes until launch. And we've just heard reports the fuel lines of the rocket engines are about to be purged with nitrogen to fireproof them by removing vapors of fuel and oxidizer. At T-minus 4 minutes, we'll be looking for those onboard systems to switch to autonomous control.
Через пару минут включимся. О, по-моему, прям сверкнуло за ракетой, да, такое ощущение?
3 minutes and 30 seconds until launch. We are waiting for the key to the drainage position at the launch site to be turned into the proper position. This allows the valve through which evaporated or gaseous O2 escapes from the fuel tanks into the atmosphere to close, and the fuel will drain back into the tanks to maintain proper weight distribution of the vehicle. These valves also provide the liquid oxygen for replenishment that has been lost through the boil-off of liquid oxygen visible on the first stage. And confirmation that those valves are now closed. 2 minutes and 30 seconds until liftoff. In about 30 seconds, we'll be looking for the ground propellant feed to the first stage of the Soyuz booster to be terminated. Coming up on 1 minute until liftoff, when the Soyuz booster will go on internal power. The next visible milestones we'll see are the retraction of those umbilicals, the first coming at around T-minus 35 seconds, and the second at T-minus 12 seconds. And we've just heard confirmation that the vehicle is on internal power, and there's the retraction of the first umbilical. Second umbilical has been detached and the launch command has been issued. The engines are starting. Turbopumps coming up to flight speed. Maximum thrust and liftoff of the 78th Progress resupply vehicle en route to deliver over 3,600 pounds of cargo to the International Space Station. Everything being reported as nominal or going well so far. First and second stage engines confirmed to be working as planned. The International Space Station at time of launch flying 257 statute miles over the South Atlantic east of Argentina. Continuing to receive all nominal calls. First stage continues to burn and will continue to do so until about 2 minutes after launch. Now about 1 minute and 30 seconds into today's flight. Roll, pitch, and yaw are nominal, and as you can see on the screen, a great shot of first stage separation. The strap-on solid rocket boosters falling away, and Progress 78 continues its journey. All data for the spacecraft still looking nominal or normal. Now about 2 minutes and 40 seconds into flight, we will be looking for the launch shroud to be jettisoned shortly after 3 minutes into today's flight. And shroud jettison has been confirmed. Everything's still looking good for Progress 78, destination International Space Station. The second stage continues to perform as planned. All data is looking good for Progress 78 and the Soyuz 2.1A booster. Coming up in about 30 seconds, we will see second stage shutdown and separation ahead of third stage ignition. The second stage continues to perform well, and the yaw, pitch, and roll of the vehicle are as planned. This is an animation being generated from the Russian Mission Control Center in Koryov. This view coming from the upper stage of the rocket itself, that's second stage separation confirmed. With second stage shutdown and separation, the third stage skirt was jettisoned prior to third stage ignition, which will continue until 8 minutes and 46 seconds after launch. The third stage engine is performing as planned. About 3 minutes left in its burn time ahead of spacecraft separation and insertion to the Progress 78's preliminary orbit. Six minutes and 30 seconds into today's flight, continuing to receive good data calls from the teams in Baikonur. As a reminder, launch through spacecraft separation itself being controlled at the blockhouse in Baikonur, and that will be taken over by the Russian Mission Control Center outside of Moscow upon spacecraft separation. The third stage engine continues to perform well. About 1 more minute left in the third stage burn. Everything continuing to proceed smoothly for Progress 78. Flight going as planned for Progress 78, and just a few seconds until we will stand by for third stage shutdown and spacecraft separation. We have confirmation of third stage shutdown. And as you can see on your screen, Progress Separation, Progress 78, now flying free. Solar arrays now unfurling. We no longer have the video from the rocket itself, but we saw a successful solar array unfurl, all of the appendages performing as expected on the rocket. And this view is a test of those external black and white crosshairs camera, and this will be used during the docking. Flight controllers will be able to see the data on screen, showing the distance from Progress to the station and the rate of closure in meters per second. However, this won't come into play until July 1st, when they begin to approach the International Space Station for an automated docking of the vehicle. This view of the team and the Russian Mission Control Center in Koryov outside of Moscow. This team now has flight control of the vehicle, launch control having taken place through the blockhouse in Baikonur. Again, another view from that external camera aboard Progress 78. This will come into play Thursday, July 1st upon docking. Progress is now in its preliminary orbit, traveling at about 17,500 miles per hour, and those pre-programmed engine firings will raise its altitude to match the International Space Station, later being fine-tuned with docking, as we mentioned, scheduled for Thursday evening, July 1st at 9:03 p.m. Eastern Time. Coverage will begin at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time, ahead of Progress 78's docking to the space-facing side of the Poisk module. Recapping the milestones from today, liftoff occurred on time at 7:27 p.m. Eastern Time, which was 4:27 a.m. at the launch site in Baikonur. The Soyuz 2.1A booster lifted off from Site 31 in Baikonur, and all three stages performed as planned, propelling Progress into its preliminary orbit. Progress will stay on the station for about 5 months. The spacecraft is scheduled to perform an automated undocking and relocation to the new Nauka multipurpose laboratory module later this year. Progress 78 will later undock for a destructive and yet safe re-entry into Earth's atmosphere. Again, tune in for live coverage of Progress automated docking to station Thursday evening, July 1st, beginning at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for joining us today here in Mission Control Houston, and we will see you next time.